It's a mystery why more high-end cars and premium players haven't made the switch to electric up to now. Comfort, refinement, even the favourable packaging, it all works in a luxury limo's favour. There's the Porsche Taycan and its Audi e-tron GT sister car, but they're more sports cars than chauffeur specials. And the Mercedes EQS, whilst it offers incredible range and a gorgeous, high-tech cabin, space in the back just isn't good enough if you prefer someone else to do the driving. And yet BMW thinks it has the answer. When the time came to consider a replacement for the 7 Series, its makers thought, how do we replace a 7 Series? Well, how about with another 7 Series? If it ain't broke, why fix it? Ladies and gentlemen, this is the new i7. Whatever you think of the styling, and that extends to the iX and the forthcoming plug-in hybrid XM2, BMW certainly knows how to cause a stir. If you want to make a statement, you can forget this car's rivals. The front end alone will turn more heads than all those cars put together. Reality is, however, you're likely to spend most of your time in here, so let them gawp. Whether it's up here in the front or back there in the rear, BMW's always prided itself on making the 7 Series a car that is just as rewarding to drive as it is to be driven in. But this switch to electric has the potential to flip things in favour of those in the back. And yeah, it's super quiet. There's very little road noise, a little bit of wind noise around the A-pillars up here at 70 miles an hour, but nothing squeaks, creaks or rattles. It's perhaps not quite as quiet as an EQS, we'd have to test the two back to back, but I can say pretty confidently that if you were commuting on the Autobahn every day, you could happily chat to your passengers in the back way past 120 or 130 miles an hour. So that's the first luxury box ticked. The second is quality, and as I just suggested, there really are no issues in that department either. There's a big focus on sustainability with this car, whether it's the Viganza leather alternative for the seats or the cashmere on this car. There's open pore wood and it all feels beautifully high end. And it goes without saying that all the buttons and switches operate with a lovely tactility. And to be honest, I'm struggling to find anywhere that any corners have been cut. The infotainment setup will be familiar to anyone who's spent time in the latest iX. The single curved screen layout runs iDrive 8, while if this is new to you, you might feel there's an unnecessary level of complexity compared to older BMWs, we can happily say we're getting used to it. And the fact that you can customise the home screen to display your most used functions means you rarely find yourself delving into the countless sub-menus hidden within. The voice control works well too, so that's a nice backup should you need it. So it certainly looks and feels the part. It's quiet, it's comfortable, but a BMW needs to be the ultimate driving machine, so is it? Does this new i7 live up to that mantra? Yes, to an extent. I don't care what BMW says, I can't see many customers buying this car to rag along a back road or up a mountain pass. If it can do the urban and motorway stuff and at least hold its own in the twisty bits, then it'll be plenty for most. But actually, with the super thin but still hefty battery mounted down low, the centre of gravity is good. The air suspension keeps things nice and level, the steering doesn't have much feel, but it's accurate and it can make the car feel pretty direct, pretty pointy. It's no i4, but it doesn't need to be. It's as good as, better in fact, than anyone looking at a 2.7 tonne luxury limo could hope for. At launch, aside from a couple of plug-in hybrid 7 Series models, the i7 itself comes only in xDrive 60 guise. That means a massive 101.7 kWh usable battery for, BMW claims, between 367 and 388 miles on a charge, depending on spec. We're seeing a pretty comfortable 3 miles per kWh, which would tip it past the 300 mile marker, but comfortably more we expect should you take things a little more gently. There's no fancy 800 volt charging tech like the Porsche or the Audi, but BMW claims the i7 doesn't need it. It can hold its 195 kilowatt peak for a decent stretch, meaning a 10 to 80% charge takes 34 minutes on an appropriate rapid charger. Run it right down and you'll need a long night to charge at home via a 7 kilowatt wall box. Big battery, remember? But as I said, it's got to be good back here as well, and this is the i7's party piece. It's a 31-inch screen that folds down from the roof and allows people back here to watch movies, stream TV, whatever you like. It's all controlled via these touch-sensitive panels in the door here, but if I'm honest, I'd rather just have something you can pull out and use on the move. It's not all that responsive, certainly not as responsive as the screens in the front, and while you can do stuff up here using the touch-sensitive screen, some of the functions are limited when you're on the move. But the biggest issue I've found is that you just feel like you're sitting a little bit too close, and what's worse, if you've got someone with long legs sitting in the front, you might not be able to fold it down at all. And that's without mentioning the fact that when it is lowered, People in the front have got absolutely no rearward visibility. BMW maybe should have considered fitting a digital rear view mirror, but it's super sharp, the sound is amazing, and it'll even send vibrations through the seats if you're listening to something particularly intense. It's good, but in reality it's not quite there, and it's a really expensive option. But look, if I fold that away, again using this panel in the door, and we can put this seat into its lounge position, and you get absolutely acres of room to stretch out. It's a little bit slow, but that doesn't really matter. You might not get the completely flat floor that you do in an EQS, but when it comes to headroom, the 7 Series sends the EQS to the cleaners. There is loads of headroom back here. If you're planning on spending loads of time in the back here, there is no luxury EV quite like it. Good in the front, great in the back. BMW steals the march on Mercedes with its new i7, almost exclusively by offering a rear cabin fit for a king or queen. Quiet, comfortable and good to drive. I guess you just need to be grateful it won't be you looking at its face. Head to DrivingElectric.com for all the latest electric and hybrid car advice, news and reviews, and check us out on Twitter, Facebook and Instagram. Finally, while you're here, make sure you hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel and turn on notifications to ensure you never miss a video.